Hey everyone, I'm Dave, and today we're making the world's best Philly cheesesteak, hopefully. I mean, I'm sure anyone from Philly will disagree that this is the world's best, but on this channel, what we actually do is we Google the world's best recipes and we try the #1 ranked search result and see if it really is the world's best. It's always an adventure, it's always fun. Sometimes I mess up, often I mess up, but I'm not a professional cook. That's what makes this show unique. It's just a normal everyday person trying to do some cooking. And so, let's go ahead and look up the world's best Philly cheesesteak and see what it says. Okay, so it looks like the #1 ranked search result is the Philly cheesesteak from Natasha's Kitchen. It has 5 out of 5 stars, 489 positive reviews. So we're gonna click on that and we're gonna try to cook it. I mean, I feel like a lot of a Philly cheesesteak is gonna come down to your bread and your meat. Those are the primary ingredients, but let's see what they've got us doing and go from there. Okay, so it looks like it wants us to slice 4 hoagie rolls, which I do have out. These are my first ingredient. These are from Publix. I mean, I know it's not the fanciest bread, but they're usually pretty good. Okay, so here's the question. How do we slice them? Do we slice them down the middle, across the side, etc., etc.? Let me look at the pictures. Yeah, it looks like they sliced them sideways. So I'm gonna take my bread knife and we're just gonna slice it like this. Not all the way though, you don't want it to open. You want it 3/4 of the way. Ooh, that might have been a little more than 3/4. Because we want to be able to put it onto the griddle, and we're gonna do this on the griddle like that. And okay, so I think that's good. Let's cut the next one. Did I go 3/4? Yeah, I think we're good there. 2, and it says to do it with 4 rolls. Obviously, you could double the recipe if you have a big group coming over for dinner or something. 3, and let's get the 4th one. I love Philly cheesesteaks. It's one of my favorite. 4. Look at all the little, what are those? What are these anyways? These little yellow things on the bread. Is that like cornmeal or something? All right, anyway, so we've got our 4 hoagie rolls spread open. Now it wants us to add something onto them. It wants us to take 2 tablespoons of softened unsalted butter, which I have some unsalted butter right here, and a clove of garlic pressed. So we can do that. Let me I've got my bowl. Forgot, I already got the bowl. Got my garlic press. So hey, that's not bad. Now, the only thing I don't have is softened butter. This butter is not soft at all, but we can make it work. So for the garlic clove, actually, let me get a different one. That one looks beat up. For the garlic clove, I'm pretty sure I need to take the flesh off first, right? Is that how this works? I don't even know what I'm supposed to do with the garlic press. I usually just chop garlic, but we're gonna press it today because that's what the instructions say to do. All right, so there's our piece of garlic. We're gonna just open this thing up. How does this thing work? I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, there we go, boom. We're gonna press the garlic into here, and then I guess use the fork to get it all off. There we go. Garlic hath been pressed. Now we wanna add 2 tablespoons of softened unsalted butter. Now again, my butter is not softened, so let me cut out 2 tablespoons here, and then I'll go soften it in the microwave. 1, 2, right about there. It's labeled, it says this is 2 tablespoons. So let me go soften this butter up and I'll be right back. All right, so butter is now softened. Some would even say a little overly softened, but it'll be all right. Add it in here, and then we gotta mix that together. I mean, ideally, I guess I would have let it soften in the sun or something, or out at room temperature, not in the sun. But anyways, it says to mix this all up. Garlic and butter like so. So it's nice and mixed. And then I'm assuming this is gonna go on the hoagie roll, but I have not read that far ahead yet. So that's my guesstimate. So there's our garlic butter. Yep, that's exactly right. So this butter is just gonna go onto the hoagie roll like so. Like that, just take a little bit on each side. Hopefully it's enough butter. That's not very much, 2 tablespoons for all this bread, but we'll see. I'll go easy here at first, and I'll just do like 1. I'm not gonna like thoroughly cover every inch because I feel like I'm gonna run out of butter if I do it that way. I'd rather make sure I get a little butter on everything. Although again, at home, you can use as much butter as you want, guys. The world is your oyster. You can load her up. You can do 10 tablespoons of butter if you so desire, but I'm trying to follow the recipe. So I gotta be specific when you're following the recipe. Let's take this fork out. I called it that I'm not gonna have very much butter. There, that's something I would change. If I did this, I'd do 4 tablespoons of butter so that I had no question that I had enough. Oh, and I'd do 2 garlic cloves instead of 1. But again, we're following the recipe. We're only gonna do this many. I'm just a little disappointed in the coverage. Just a scotch. Whatever, good enough. All right, so that's good. Hey, part of it too could be because I got this like melted butter here, which I could add a little bit of that, like so. All right, I'm gonna set these aside for a minute because we got a couple more steps to do. Maybe I'll close them. Yeah, look at that, close them. Close them up and set them aside so we can keep working. All right, so up next we wanna do is we wanna dice 1 sweet onion. So that should be pretty simple. Cut the edges here. Why do I do that? I don't know. I think you're supposed to. I'm not a pro. I'm just guessing. Half of this is guesswork, but it's fun guesswork. I mean, what's the worst case scenario? A mediocre Philly cheesesteak? That's still awesome. There is no bad Philly cheesesteak. Well, I don't know. I guess I could accomplish it if I use some sort of weird meat like buffalo. Oh, buffalo might be good. I've never had buffalo. I should go weirder. How about anaconda or eagle meat? I don't think you can eat eagles. Maybe you could. Who knows? Some people will eat anything. Crocodile? I'm in Florida. It could be crocodile meat. All right, so just dice this onion. How seriously are we dicing? Yeah, it just says diced. You probably don't need to go like super hardcore on the dice. Now, I'll say this. Often when I get a Philly cheesesteak, I get it with peppers. Green peppers, red peppers, that sort of stuff. This recipe does not call for that. And I'm trying to stick true to the recipe I discovered. And I know people do mushrooms too, right? But this recipe is very basic. It's not like hiding the meat behind anything. It's just a couple of key ingredients, and the peppers is not one of them. And I only say that because if you were trying to follow along at home and cook this yourself, and I'm gonna cook it on my griddle top here, then you could do peppers as well. Chop them up similarly and put those on the griddle and cook them just like the onions and add them in at the same time as the onions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you could totally add peppers to this if you wanted to. Okay, so here's our onions chopped up. All right, the next step is the steak. All right, guys, I got Callie, my daughter here. Say hi, Callie. She wanted to do something in the video. This isn't really, there's not a lot of steps that are appropriate for an 8-year-old, but I figured she could at least open up the steak package. So here, put it here. And then open her up and plop the steaks onto the cutting board for me.
And then after this, I'm gonna go inside and wash my hands.
Yeah, you can go wash your hands after. All right, open them up and then just, these are ribeye steaks I got at Publix. It's choice grade. It's not like it's, you know, Wagyu or Prime or anything like that. It's pretty basic.
Guys, my hands are clean.
Your hands are clean, yep.
Ugh.
Perfect, thank you. You can go and wash your hands. There's a sink back there if you want to wash your hands. Thank you, Callie. Bye, Callie. All right, so here's our steak, and basically what we need to do now is we need to slice it up. So I'm gonna slice it up. Now, I'm gonna slice it against the grain. You want it to be fairly thin slices. So, I mean, I've heard people say that a good way to do this is to freeze it first. Here, let me see if you can get a better shot of it without me putting my own hands at risk. I've heard people say that if you freeze the steak first, that way it'll be like a little tougher, like it'll give more resistance, and it'll make it easier to slice it. So, especially if you want to slice it thinner. But it's okay, mine can have sort of thicker chunks. I mean, when you think of cheesesteak, you do think of a little thinner than this, but I'm having trouble. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna cut it in half. Give me a more manageable size piece to work with, and we can cut it a little slimmer. Now, the recipe calls for 1 pound. Again, you could do more than a pound if you desire. You could do 5 pounds if you have a big group coming over and you want to cook everyone some cheesesteaks. I've done that before, not with this recipe, but I have made cheesesteaks on my griddle before. Not on my girdle, but on my griddle. So, and it's a crowd pleaser. Everyone loves steak. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people like steak. I know there's vegans and stuff like that. But I have to imagine that if you're a vegetarian or a vegan, you probably stopped watching when you saw the name of the video, the cheesesteaks. I think you probably decided it wasn't gonna be your favorite recipe, which is no problem. I've probably got some recipes that you would like my French fries one, but this one might not be for you. And that is me done talking to the person who's probably... All right, so let's slice this other piece. And again, against the grain, if you can manage it. We just want a bunch of thin slices of meat here. These are also gonna get cooked on the griddle top and be the best part of it, of course, because it's steak. Now this is probably more like 1.25 pounds or 1.5 pounds. I don't think I could find an exact 1 pound package. I've also seen people use steak tips for this. I don't like that. They're like a little too thick. I mean, I'm talking like they'll use steak tips and not chop them or cut them or anything. And so for me, that's not, ooh, I must just cut my finger. That's good, go Dave. Right near the end of the meat is when you cut your finger because there's not a lot of space. You know what's funny is my fingernail saved it. So thank you, fingernail. Fingernails are useful after all. So we've got everything ready. We've got the onions, we've got the rolls, we've got the steak. We need salt and pepper. We're gonna go over to the griddle top, fire it up, and start cooking. Okay guys, we're in Griddletown, USA. This is it's not a Blackstone. Although if Blackstone wants to send me one, they can. It's a Camp Chef. And we've got our heat on medium, and this is getting warmed up. Can't really recommend this Camp Chef because it's like, it has bent with the heat. It like actually curled up, and so now one side sits higher than the other. It's really weird, but whatever, it's fine. What we need to do is take our hoagie rolls and plop them onto the griddle, and we're just gonna get a little toast on here on the actual rolls, and probably just take a minute or two, if that, for these to get toasted up. So I'm toasting my buns. Now things you'll want to have on standby, some provolone cheese or American, it's up to you. I've actually used American a lot, but this recipe calls for provolone, so that's what we're gonna use. We're also gonna need some oil, olive oil is fine, and some salt and pepper. Let me just take a look at these. Yeah, let them get warm. All right, let's take a look at our buns here. I feel like it could be a little warmer. This thing doesn't cook very evenly either. Like I said, I'm not super impressed with it, but whatever. I mean, I don't know. I think it's taking forever. It's hot though. It's at least hot. So once these get toasty, we're gonna take them off and put them on a plate and set them aside for later. Yeah, see how it's toasting a little? We're almost there. Maybe another, I don't know, couple minutes. I mean, it's starting to get a little toasty. I don't want to overdo it either. Oh, that one's falling apart. Uh-oh. See, I gotta be careful, guys. I think these are done. Yeah, they feel crispy. Yeah, I think we're okay. I'm gonna take these off. And we're gonna start on the onions next. For the onions, we're gonna put, oh, these are hot. Toyota's hot, hot, hot. Not sponsored by Toyota. Tablespoon of olive oil down. I don't know. Put it all over, because we're gonna need it soon anyways. And then we're gonna plop the onions on, get that satisfying sizzle going. These for like 3 minutes. Get them nice and translucent, oil around a little bit. Now that smells good. I do enjoy cooking on the griddle. I just wish it wasn't broken. It's like all bent up. I actually did order a new top for it. They sold like just the part on their website, so I ordered just the top, but that was before I moved, so I need to figure out where in the world that might have gone. If I have it though, that would be kind of handy. I do love how quick you can cook on one of these. Alright, the onions are getting a little crispy here. Probably good enough, I would say. And honestly, in the past when I've done this, I've just set the onions aside. But it's telling me to remove them completely. So like what I'd do is I'd turn off one little portion of the grill. Alright, anyways, they're good enough. So what it tells us to do is to take them off and put them into a bowl. So that's what I'm going to do. Because that's what the instructions say, even though I think it's kind of pointless. I think I could just leave them off to the side and they'd be fine. Alright, up next is add a little more oil. And then, alright, I gotta go moderately quick because my camera can't handle the temperature of the griddle. So we're gonna add our meat in. This is all our steak. Like so. Get off. Get off. And then we're going to spread it out a little bit. I have another one of these. Hold on. Let's double whammy it here and make it easier. Hopefully you can see that okay. Spread out the meat. And then we're going to flip it over. Yep. You don't want to cook it too long, it'll burn. Flip it over like that. Alright, it's looking pretty good. Now we're going to add some salt and pepper once I get these all flipped. Some salt. Not too much. And some pepper. The pepper's kind of cooking on the griddle. That's okay. And then I'm just going to move it around again. I don't want it to burn at all. Oops. Spread that out. Make sure you get it all cooked. Alright, hopefully you've been able to see this. I've never shot this pepper in my lungs. Ow. That kind of hurt. Alright, now it's just to add the onions back in. That's what we're going to do. And mix them up. Like so. And basically get a delicious aroma here. Absolutely amazing smelling. Now we want to make 4 evenly sized piles out of this. Oh, it's so hot though. Maybe it's too hot. I don't know. 1 pile. 2 piles, 3 piles, 1 Gomer pile. Remember that movie? What was that? Platoon? No, Full Metal Jacket, I think. Okay, so we got 3 piles. And then it says once you have your 4 piles, turn off the heat completely and add your cheese. So it says they're not perfectly even either. So hopefully the camera was okay. I don't think it was. I think the angle was off a little bit, and so it might have been a little washed out. But I'm doing my best, guys. At least the front camera will be. Okay, so my audio just switched because that camera just died. So now we've only got the camera on. All these cameras are overheating because of this grill. But hello, this is the only camera that's working. And the audio is probably not as good, but we'll fix it in a minute. It might have been broken for a little while here. What's weird is that my microphone turned off too. All right, so put the cheese on all 4 and the heat is off. I think my battery might be dead on my mic. I don't know. Anyways, this is pretty much done. So let's just finish it off really quick. The last step is to take some mayonnaise. Okay, this is mayonnaise, and put it on one side of the bun. So like this, right there, and do that to all 4 of them. All right, and then once you have that, you take the steak, like so, and you put it on the bun, like that. Boom, perfect. How's that look, guys? Pretty good? All right, we're gonna try it. Let me get them all off and then we'll be back in a second. Well, this is a weird one, guys. I know my audio sounds worse, but that's because everything overheated, including my microphone. But this is our final product here. Check it out. Sorry the audio is not perfect. I'll try to talk loudly. Just all we got left is to try it anyway, so let's try it out and see if it really is the world's best Philly cheesesteak. That was a really big bite. That's amazing. I haven't had a Philly cheesesteak in a while. That is really good. It's not as good as going to Philly. I've been to Philly. I've had a Philly cheesesteak in Philly. That's better. But this is a really good homemade cheesesteak. What I really like, what's sticking out to me, is that garlic butter on the bun. I'd never tried that before when I've made cheesesteaks. Definitely recommend you try that. That is stellar. Really, really good. As far as me, I would maybe add green peppers to it, and I might use American cheese. I know it's kind of sacrilege, but it's what I like. All in all, it's an amazing Philly cheesesteak. Definitely try it out. And you know, you can totally spin off on it and do different things on it. Sorry about technical difficulties. I've never cooked in front of that griddle before. I didn't realize the heat would make everything overheat, but I hope it's still watchable. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time. Make sure you subscribe. Bye-bye.